Hey, what's up, guys? It's Wes. Wes Does Hair on Instagram. If you guys aren't following me, please do. I will follow you back. Oh, don't worry. What we're going to be doing today is working on our beautiful model. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, I'm going to be working with the LG CHI ColorMaster Factory. We'll break into that in just a little bit more. But we're going to be doing a natural red copper melt. And I want to share you guys a technique how you can do that using the LG CHI ColorMaster Factory. So what we're going to be starting with is my Formula 6C, and then we're going to go through and apply just on the roots. We've already pre-lightened her with bleach and shine with 20 volume, and then we decolorized her ends just a little bit. Yeah, then we decolorized her ends just a little bit using I'm having a brain fart, sorry you guys. But we decolorized the ends, and we're going to go through and do her mid to end formula. So before we get started, I just want to show y'all real fast what we're going to be doing. If you guys haven't seen it, here is the color factory right here. This is all the colors that you guys can kind of play with. It's a lot of fun. You can zoom in, you can scroll, you can pick your color. What we're going to be doing right now while this gets started is when you click your color, you click color, it brings up this menu. You're going to tap. And then that's it. You do your developer and your adjustments. It's up to you guys. Now, I have her pre-made formula right here. So we're going to click the top one. And then after you've made your formula, you just hit dispense. Does the rest for you. Now, we're going to start in the back on this application. Sorry, I always lose the little pump thing. All right, we're going to pump her up, and then what I'm going to do is apply root shadow, and then we're going to work our way to the next section, and then we're going to go to the front, and then we're going to melt through the ends. Here we go.
Wes, do you mind letting everyone know what her starting root level is, what you lifted her to?
Yeah.
And what you're applying?
Her starting root level was a level 7, so it was a slight shift that we were looking for. So when we went through and applied with the 20 volume, we only had to leave it on for about 15 minutes before it went through and did that. So if you guys haven't used the bleach and shine, I would recommend using a 1-to-3 mixing ratio. It's going to give you the best lift possible. When I want to go through and do more of like a hair painting effect, then I'll go through and lift with a 1-to-2 mixing ratio. And then right now we're just going to go through and establish our perimeter, and I'm going to work my way up. So I'm going to part this hair straight down the center. And I'm just going to apply on the root, and we're going to push this hair out of the way, making sure you guys can see. Do what? Here we go. There we go. Cool. And now what you're going to go through and do is we want to go through and apply the root formula first. A lot of people I've seen will tend to go through and they want to hit, they'll want to do this, then the melt. But what can happen is you can get uneven saturation and processing time, so you may end up taking too long and this color can end up fully processing. All right, so here we go. Machine is telling us I'm done on the color factory, and then we're going to close it, and then I'm actually going to hand this off to Mackenzie really quick. So when it's done, it's going to have everything mixed in the bowl for you. Here you go. Here's Mackenzie right here. Yeah. When she mixes this consistency, what's going to happen is it's going to be more of a gel-like consistency. So it's going to be more, again, in between a cream and a liquid. So y'all can see right here that as I'm applying on the hair, it's going through super smooth. And what will happen too is it allows you to work with less product. You're not going to have to use overused product, which is going to also help save money as well. So go through and keep just applying on the root, and then when we're completely done, we're going to go through and melt through the ends. And then you can already kind of see that it is processing, so you'll see like the color oxidizing as we're working.
So we have a question about the ColorMaster Factory. What if it is like a super busy day in the salon and multiple stylists need to formulate? How does that happen at the same time?
So that's a great question. When you want to have multiple people working at the same time, you can actually go in. If it's a very, very large salon, I would possibly recommend 2. But if you're working with just one, which a lot of salons do work with just one factory, you can actually register each person into the Color Factory, and you can pre-have your formulas ready to go. So if you have, let's say, 4 stylists at your salon, and you're having a busy day in there, and everybody's just packed and ready to go with color, what they can do is pre-put their clientele in, and then they'll have all their formulas ready to go. So that way you won't have a buildup of people waiting in line to use it for you. And then you can actually go through and dispense and stuff using your cell phone. So like if you're not over right here by the Color Factory, you can use your cell phone in the app to go through and use it if you don't have time to run back and get everything. So we're going to continue to work up. Just work in small sections as you're going up the hair. You don't want to take too large of sections because you want to make sure that you are saturating all the way through. And then we're going to just keep working with the same process. It's going to be very repetitive, but as we're toning, work your way up slowly.
So I have a formulating question for you. So you formulated using the ColorMaster Factory. So I have 2 questions. My first question is, how does using the factory make your formulation easier? And then what are your formulation secrets for a red to avoid a hot root?
Those are good questions. So to make your life easier, the Color Factory, I have a salon suite and it has made my life a lot easier only because this. So when you have the ColorMaster Factory, if you could imagine those days where you're running and you don't have your color for you and you're having to go to one of the distributors and go buy it, what ends up happening is this is only 12 canisters. So with 12 canisters, you're not going to have to go through and order all these. You're going to have a lot of these in stock, but the creativity you're able to do to this is what makes it easier. The whole color sheet is up on the factory. So when you press color on the screen, it's going to pull up the entire color line for you. And instead of running through and squeezing out a bunch of tubes, you're going to be able to just press the formula that you want, just press it with your finger, and that's it. So it makes it very, very simple for you. But what I've found by using it is that my creativity has gone up. And, I think a lot of people, when they're working with new technology, can be fearful. But this has done nothing but made me feel more creative when working behind the chair. Now, avoiding hot roots, because obviously we have a lighter base and darker ends. What we've done for her formulation, the 6C, we've gone through with 20 volume, which is going to help kind of lift it up a little for us. And then with her other formula, we've also done a level 7 with 20 volume, which is going to give it a slight lift as well. But when her hair is dry, it's a pretty true level 7. So all that's going to do for the ends is going to go through and create more of a shine for her. So that way when we apply the root, it's going to be a little bit darker. It's going to be a subtle change. I'm not looking for anything drastic. But what I would do if you want to pre-lighten somebody and this does happen to you, you could always, for instance, if you want to do a 6 and a 7, you could always do a level 5 if you want to. And then sometimes what will happen with that is because you have the super blonde roots, it'll end up being a tad bit lighter for you. So if it goes through and you have a situation right here, you could go through and do that if you wanted to. So I think there's multiple ways you could attack that. But you can see how it's oxidizing right here. So you can already see how that is shifted darker than the roots. So it's doing exactly what we need to do, but I'm just using 20 volume and just so it helps with a little bit more.
Yeah, and when you were mixing her root color earlier, you were actually allowed to add some shots in there, right? So you added a little gold to her formula and all that. So the ColorMaster Factory allows you to really put those small additions to customize your color, right?
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite things about it is whenever we're working, and if you guys are right now, the guys that are on the live, we're going to make videos so you guys can see this as well. Now, it's not just the color that's on there. There's a spot on there that's called adjustments. And with the adjustments, you can go through and you can pick any of those additives that you have from any line. So for instance, on her end color, we're going to be working with gold additive and red additive. And anyone who has a lot of super blonde that does a lot of silvers and stuff, you can actually go through and they have the 1N and the 3N like that. And so you can customize your silvers as well. and make those like really dark grays. It's really cool. All right, we're gonna keep working up. And if I get some of the color onto the ends, it's okay. When I go through and do these melts, what I like to do is I like to call it kind of like a carefree swipe. Since these colors are living not too far off from each other, it's okay if a little bit of that color goes through, because when we're done with everything, I'm gonna smudge it out with my fingers and we're going to apply the second formula on the ends. Do you have any more good questions?
Yeah, we have a question from Lisa. She's asking how long the ColorMaster Factory takes to dispense a formulation.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So dispensing formulations, it's about 2 minutes, 1.5 to 2 minutes. And one of the things that I like to let people know of how to do this is, and this is what I do in my salon. So imagine that you're working on your client and they're processing, you know, they have the foils in, you're about to rinse. What I would do is while they're processing, go ahead and mix your formula. That way you're just not like standing there having that awkward silent stare down with your client. So just mix it while they're processing, and then when it's done, the color factory will be like, okay, your formula is done now. Once it's done, put it in the automatic mixer while you're rinsing or shampooing, and then it speeds up your time. You're not having to go through and squeeze a bunch of color out. Now, what I would do if you're doing like a gray retouch and your client's about to come in, just make sure that you're in there before them and you can have it ready to dispense. Or what I would recommend as well is to go through and just start while your color is mixing. If you had your consultation, once you start parting their hair out, then go through and mix. But like I said, that'll kind of avoid that little awkward situation where you and your client are just staring for 1.5 minutes, because 1.5 minutes, you know, staring back and forth can seem like a lifetime. At least to me it does. All right, just keeping working our way up. I'm doing section by section, and then when I'm done, I'm going to go through and I'm going to pull that line down, and it's going to be a little bit more careless, but I like doing that because when you have I call it my careless swipe, it creates a lot of negative space where you're working. So when I go through and I use that second formula, it's going to fill in those little holes and it's going to create a supernatural melt. And this is probably the easiest way that you guys can do this. Now, when we get through this back part, what I'm going to do is make sure you're working with clean hands. You're going to turn your client, and I'm going to work vertical sections now. So as I'm applying, I'm going to take a vertical section and just lay the hair backwards. So, or if you do prefer and you want to work a little neater, you can part the top off. It's up to you guys, but I'm going to turn here really quick. Make sure you guys have a good view. Cool. Vertical section, and then you're going to lay the hair backwards and then start up at the top and work your way down to the ear, and then just go back and make sure you have everything cleaned up. And then you're just going to continue to work till you get towards the face, and then you're going to do the other side. Now,
we have a couple questions. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, keep sending them in. I love questions.
So the first question is, how big are your subsections, and how does that help you achieve even saturation?
My subsections, when I'm going through and doing honestly any color, I take it back to beauty school days, and I like doing about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch sections. If I were to go through and I try to rush it, for instance, like if I took all this hair right now, could I potentially do it? Yes, but what ends up happening is you risk, like you said on the question, not having even saturation. So work with smaller sections, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, and that'll ensure even saturation throughout the hair.
Perfect. And then our other question is a little bit more of a pivot. As you know, sustainability is really, really big right now in the salon. How does the CHI ColorMaster Factory help stylists stay sustainable every day behind the chair?
Just like, I want to rephrase it.
Yeah.
Will you rephrase the question? Sorry.
Sure.
My vocabulary with that.
It's okay. So you already mentioned that stylists save color, right? They're not wasting tons of product, but is there any additional sustainability efforts? Like, are the cans recyclable? Can they?
That was one of the biggest reasons that I wanted to join on with Chi and Farouk Systems, was because of how amazing the Color Factory is for the environment. So the canisters, if you guys don't know, so there are 12 canisters, and the canisters are 1N, 3N, 5N, and all your additives and developer. But they're actually all recyclable. So instead of going through in the salon, and when you, like it, we've all done it, we have like a ton of color, and then you go through and you're throwing away all those color tubes and all the wrappers, or the boxes. What ends up happening is we're just kind of putting waste. But what they've done, and what I feel like Farouk Systems has always done, is they've been so active with helping the environment. So by having these cans recyclable, the canisters, it's going through and it's helping out everybody. Also, what I love about this too is that it doesn't, you can't get color waste. Whenever there is anything that does pop up with an issue in the salon, or not the salon, but with your formulation, the canisters will tell you. So it's an AI system that's basically the brain of a hairdresser. So it knows if something is not right. But if you mess up your formula, or say you enter it wrong, you can stop it, and then it stops exactly where it's left off, and then you can go through and shift it, so you're not having to just dump all that color out. Because I've had a lot of people ask me that, and they're like, well, what if like my Wi-Fi goes out, or what if it just shuts off? It'll stop exactly where it's at. It's a very, very intelligent machine. They partner with LG, and they worked on this for a very long time. So that's one of the cool benefits of it. So that also allows you to not do color waste. And if you guys don't know, it's so precise that to the point it knows every little drop of color that's in there. So you're not going to go through, and like sometimes when you're working with color tubes, we'll go through and we'll try and squeeze as much out as we can, but we always have a little bit left over. This will also help you save with that as well. Sorry, it was a lot. All right, now what I've done is I've worked towards the face. I'm gonna leave just out. I wanna start working the other side now, so both sides even process evenly. So we're gonna turn our model. Same thing, vertical sections, and I'm gonna apply away from the face. So let me move my color, and then we're gonna take a vertical section, and you guys can see that it's already processing in the back, right? It's beautiful. I mean, I can't hear you guys, but it is beautiful. And yeah, keep asking questions. Ask as many as you want. I mean, we're live right now, so this Color Factory is new to a lot of the world, and I want to answer as much. One thing that you guys, what I was talking about earlier on the prep, sorry, I'm going back. I wanted to bring this up. Whenever we were prepping the hair, when we lightened it, we used the Bond and Seal. If you guys don't know what the Bond and Seal is, it's an incredible product. It actually goes through and it really does repair the hair, and it helps equal out porosity. So when we're lightening, if you go through and spray the hair and you're doing it all over color, or if you're decolorizing, you're gonna go through and spray the Bond and Seal. But then when you're done after the lightening, I'm gonna spray it through again. The worst thing that could ever happen when you're going through and lightening and you do your toner is that sometimes the hair, because of porosity, the color can be a little bit different. But since you have the Bond and Seal, what it does is it actually evens out the porosity of the hair. So when you're applying your toners, when you're applying Vivids, all of that will start coming out even. So pair all of your colors and your lighteners with the Bond and Seal, and you're going to DM me later, and you're going to be so happy. I promise you guys you will. So whenever you're working, work with both. Now I'm going to just keep working down the hair, and then we're going to get into our melt in just a second. But when doing the toners, keep that in mind to go section by section, and bring back the sides. We want everything to process evenly, sorry. And then we'll go through and melt. Do you have any more fun questions? If not, this is still just very repetitive. We're still just toning the root. My goal for this right now is really just to go through and get the color on the roots that are a little bit lighter than the ends. And I'm gonna just take my brush, and when I apply, first you're gonna apply down, and then you can take a brush if you want to, and then you can just swipe it just a little bit, make it a little bit softer, and then you're gonna go on to your next section. So vertical sections, and when I match up with this section, I'm gonna work that other side again. That way it still processes evenly.
We have I'm sorry.
You got a good one?
We have a question about how many canisters the ColorMaster Factory can hold, and are there specific shades that come with the ColorMaster Factory, or are you allowed to kind of like build a color bar in there?
So there's 12 canisters. The Color Factory will hold 12 canisters that you'll see in there. So you only need the 12. Now, the canisters are 1N, 3N, 5N, clear, all your additives, 0 volume, and 40 volume. But with all of those, they are able to go through and they're able to formulate anything that you want on the line. Anything, like absolutely any color. So when you go through on the Color Factory and you press color, that's why the entire color chart pops up, is because it's able to achieve anything. If you guys, one thing I like to talk about it is if you're a salon owner, it's one of the coolest things also, and you have like a lot of new stylists, there's actually a simulation mode where you can go through and let's say, for instance, our model is like uncertain and I was just trying to convince her to go red because I want everybody to be red. But if she wanted, she was like, I'm just not sure like what it's going to look like. On simulation mode, I could go through and we'll post videos of this, guys, too, so you can see it. What'll happen is she would go up to the factory, the Color Factory, you snap a photo of it, but then what will go from there is it takes an X-ray photo of her hair. Now, her entire hair will turn white, and then it's going to go through and you're going to be to give it its starting level and your ending level. And then it'll give you what it thinks that your formula should be. Now, as a stylist, we know what we should do and we don't. But if it's a new hire, this could be super beneficial for them. And what's cool about it is that it actually already has 30,000 like pre-saved formulas, which is insane, right? I know you guys are not in your head. It's insane. There's 30,000 pre-saved formulas. And like we said, you don't have to use it, but it's really cool that it's something that it can offer. Like, I wish I would have had that. You can create anything you want. Because you can create your fashion colors, you can create your permanents, you can create semis, demis, or you can do whatever you want with this. I promise you guys, if you invest in something like this, you're going to get more creative with your work. Because when I was working, I was using my color tubes. I just kind of grabbed like what I thought always looked good. I was like, I know this color is going to look good. I'm going to always use that color. So I would have a tendency to do that. But once I invested and I got this, guys, like, it was ridiculous. I kept trying everything on my clients, and luckily my clients do love me. So I was just trying everything out on them. And then we'll show that. Once I get this on, I actually want to show you guys how easy it'll be. So we're going to go through, and when we get her root color on and Mackenzie brings us our next color after this, I want to show you guys the color chart and how cool it is. So
we have a question, which actually has to do with color. And so Jewel is asking, you are able to store client profiles in the ColorMaster Factory, correct?
Yeah, you can.
Can you go back in there and like edit and update all of that information? Are you able to do that?
Yeah, so what Jewel's asking is about saving your clients on there, saving their information. You can 100% do that. I do that a lot at home. So I have a lot of clients who are like, if you're like me and if you have not so much of a great memory, you can go through on the Color Factory. You can register your client, which is super easy. All you do is you put their name in there. You can do other personal information. That's up to them. A lot of clients just don't want to give out their email and phone numbers, but I can go through and I can actually save my formulas on there. So if I have a client that's like, I know, like, let's just say that I have a gray retouch client and she's like, okay, well, I want to be a 5N with this exact amount of gold additive. I can go through and do that and it'll save it for me. And what I won't have to worry about in the future is her formula ever being uneven. You'll never have to worry about anything like that because it dispenses it exactly how you did. So you can save it. If she comes in later and wants a color correction on and wants to change her entire look, you can go through and you can get that formula out, and then you can go back and you just change it. It's really easy.
Awesome. And what does the maintenance look like for keeping your ColorMaster Factory clean and operating and not as messy as a traditional color bar?
Yeah, no, I mean, I literally, like, oh my God, you guys would have laughed at me if you saw my old color bar. It was a mess. That is one of my downfalls as a hairstylist is that I'm messy. So I'm sorry, guys. But now that I've had that, like, this has made everything so clean. So if you go to my salon before I had this, there's like color on my walls and everything, and they get mad at me because I always have to repaint. The only maintenance for cleaning, when I finish this, I can show you guys. It's really easy. So we're going to apply this on real quick, and I'm going to show you. So we're going to apply away from the face. This is now into her fringe area. And if you get it on her forehead like I did, just wipe it back off. There we go. And then now we have the root color on. Now, this is what's so beneficial about doing this first, is you want to go through and let this all process together. Now I'll start having more of an even processing and application. So you can see now right here, the color is really starting to shift, and I'm not going to have to worry about hot roots. This is going to be a beautiful color. What I'm going to do now is hand this color back off to Mackenzie. If you guys didn't know, Mackenzie is an incredible artist as well, and she's actually going to be at the BTC show, and we're going to be on stage together. So I'm going to trade this out with her. You want to show your face? No. We can. She don't want to. I promise. I promise you guys will love her. I know y'all only see her hands, but there you go. So I wanted to show you guys what it's going to look like. All right. Let's see. Right here. So when I take this out, you can see it's kind of like a gel-like consistency, right? It's not going to be cream. It's not going to be liquid. So it's less messy, and you can get through more. I want to show you guys the color chart now. So we'll zoom in over to the Color Factory. Whenever you're applying your color, all you do, here, let's delete these. All right, right here up top, add color formulation. Simple, right? Manual mode. Manual mode is what most of us are going to be doing. As a hairstylist, a lot of us already know how we want to formulate. So if you do manual mode, everything is on you. So if you touch manual mode, you're going to see these 3 bars right here: color, developer, and adjustments. Now, these 12 canisters will create all of these colors right here. So you can zoom in. You can do anything you want. So if I want, we'll say we're going to click 6C. We're going to go. And then right here, it shows 30 grams. Now, the plus and the minus, all that's going to do is allow you to change the grams of how much you want. Now, if you're like, well, adding colors, you can go back and I can add another color. So let's just say 7N. So you can see how you can still be creative with it. Once you've done that, you click adjustments, and you can see all the different adjustments you have. So it's all your additives. Then you have 1N, 3N, 5N, and you have clear. So you can kind of play with that. And we'll just say if we have an adjustment right here, it'll show right here, adjustment, red. And you can go all the way down to 0.5 grams into anything you want. And that's why everything's so creative. Developer, you press your developer, that's it. And then submit. Once you've done submit, you're going to click on it here, which is going to be your formula. If you had a bunch of clients coming in, you could go through and pre-put all your formulas, and you'd have a bunch of little gray bars on there. So you'll click it, and then you hit dispense. But when I hit dispense, there's not going to be anything happen because it's no bowl. So it'll tell you, put the chi bowl in on the scale. So we're going to cancel that. But the color factor will actually yell at you if you're doing something wrong, which I think is kind of cool. All right, go ahead and look down.
So we have a question.
Yeah.
The question is, are all of the developers more of a gel liquid, or can you choose a cream developer when formulating?
These through the Color Factory, it's going to be more of a gel liquid. Now, the reason being is because the way, since it's everything, the way it comes out is it's going to be a very like clear consistency, but the developer is a little bit thicker, so it turns it more into like a gel-like consistency. But that's what would go through here. And if you guys didn't know too, that one of the reasons that they were able to do the Color Factory is because there's also no ammonia in this color. So if you guys didn't know that, I think that's a huge thing to add as well. Everything with the color line does not have ammonia, except for the exception of the bleach and shine. And it's a very, very small amount. It's only 10%. So I was just like throwing that in there because I think it's cool. But as we're working, like you can't smell this color. Like you can't smell the color, you can't smell the lightener. So it's a pleasant for you. Now what we're gonna do is you guys can see with the toner, when you zoom in, you can see that there's like discoloration right here, but that was because we were doing that careless swipe. So what I like to do is I take my toner, apply directly on top of what we just did, and then you're gonna go through and just even saturation all the way down. Make sure that you fully get covered. I like to move the hair left and right, or you can take your fingers, thumb and pointer, and just squeeze the color through and then separate the hair to make sure that you get on everything. Because the worst thing that could happen is you go through and you spend all this time doing a beautiful bleach out, and then you're not able to go back and fully tone everything because you messed up like a little dot and you have to go do it again. So,
all right. So we have a question in the chat. In addition to saving you time behind the chair, what is your favorite feature for the ColorMaster Factory?
Well, it's definitely saving time for me, but since I can't say that one, my favorite feature for the machine, I think, is honestly being able to customize everything because it is so limitless. I feel like since I've had the Color Factory, I've really pushed outside of my comfort zone, and I've been trying formulas that I never thought in a million years I would try, or I'm doing different, just different stuff. I feel like I'm becoming a better colorist because of it. And I think what's cool, and they really, Farouk Systems really prides themselves on this, is that it's very universal. It doesn't matter what color line you come from. Every color line has a 1N. They all have a 3N. They all have a 5N. They all have additives. They all have clear. So when they say the LG CHI ColorMaster Factory, they very much pride themselves on that. This is our color factory. This is my color. If I do a neutral and I'm like, hey, I want my neutrals to be more gold or more cool, I can go through and I can customize it that way. And I like to take a lot of pride in that as well, because I like to think of it more as my own little mini color factory inside of my salon. So the creativity aspect is probably what my favorite feature is on the Color Factory, besides saving time.
Awesome. We have a formulation question.
Yeah.
How do you formulate your reds and coppers to ensure that they don't brown out?
I've never really had an issue with any of Chi's colors browning out. They're very vibrant, very pretty. But if you are afraid of that, you can intensify it with the adjustments. So you can go through and you can add extra gold, or you can add some extra red to it, and that'll help out. But I haven't had any issues with any of the color browning out. And I do red hair all the time. It's literally my favorite one to do. And Chi's reds are incredible. I hope that answered. Now, all I'm doing is I'm just making sure that I get all this hair. Her hair is damp, so we're just going through and toning, but we dampened it with Bond and Seal. So after we shampooed everything out, I went through and we applied Bond and Seal all throughout, which we talked about earlier. But the Bond and Seal will dampen the hair, but it equals out her porosity. So that way, as I'm doing this toner, everything's going to be even, which you guys are going to be able to see too, because behind the chair is going to go through and we're going to do before and after. So no, you won't see it on the live finish, but just make sure that you stay up to date throughout the day, and we'll have the afters later for you guys to see.
Yeah, guys, we're going to be posting Wes's models before and after on Behind the Chairs Insta stories. So you can be watching our stories throughout the day, and we will be sharing her formula and her before and after transformation. Everyone on the live is really pumped to see the final result. So
I'm pumped to see the final result. No, I know it's going to look good. And, you know, I wanted to come on today to really like, you know, I wanted to share a fairly simple technique. So if you guys do struggle with reds, this is one that I love to do on a lot of my redheads. If you guys, whenever you guys go on my West Says Hair page, a lot of my looks are created this way by doing that shadow root and then a little bit of a lighter ends. You know, and you can play around with it. It doesn't, if you want to do this technique, you could use the chroma paints. If I wanted to go through and do a darker root and maybe do like an orangish red, you can do the same kind of effect. But this technique is like a foolproof technique. It's very simple to do that anybody can achieve this. But the biggest thing to remember, and I think some of the hardest thing to remember or to practice, is to do not overthink it and don't be OCD about how it's applied. It's okay to have it careless. So if you see it right here, you can even take the color and you can just spread it out with your fingers some, and you can kind of shift it how you want to. So you can create a different effect, but just have fun with stuff like this. It's color, it's like painting.
So we have a question from Claudia about reds fading fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any maintenance at home tips for?
Yeah, actually, you know, there's a great one. She has color conditioner. I don't know if you guys knew that. They have color conditioner. So with my reds, I like to send them home with it. Now, if I'm doing a brighter red, you can actually take the color conditioner and you can dilute it to make it a little bit lighter. So what I would recommend for a client is to just test strand it like you would normally. But if it comes out too dark, then you just dilute it and that's it. But other than that, my red maintenance, what I always tell them is to not over shampoo their hair. Stay away from clarifying shampoos if possible. Also, rinse with colder water. When you rinse with cold water, it seals the hair cuticle, which it allows a longer time. Also, invest in a good dry shampoo, and that'll help out with your reds.
Perfect. Marley is asking why you choose to go vertical instead of horizontal with your subsectioning.
Because vertical is the only way to do it. No, I'm just joking. You can do it any way you want. If you want to go horizontal, you totally can. I'm doing this is just because it's what I'm used to and it's easy for me. So if it's easier to go horizontal, go horizontal. That's totally cool. There's no right way to do it. You know, I could have gotten to California today probably 100 different ways if I drove, but eventually I would have ended up here. Some may have just taken longer than others, but there's a lot of different ways you can do it. So as long as it works, why not do it? So you can do vertical, you can do horizontal, whatever you want. Now we're gonna just keep working this down. And then once I'm finished with this, we're gonna let her do the full processing time. I'm gonna let it process for 25 minutes and then we're gonna rinse. And then from there, that's when we're gonna go through and we're gonna have everything else done. And we'll get her styled out and get our little after photos. But y'all can see like how easy, like if you look, and I'll show you guys when we're done. We only did 30 grams of her ending color, 30 grams of 9G, 30 grams of 8C. We added one red shot, 3 gold shots, and you're gonna see how much color is actually left over. So by having this gel consistency, you're gonna be amazed like how much you feel like you're actually, like in the past, like I feel like we were way overusing color, and you're gonna realize how much less color you're gonna have with these. The canisters are actually like 14.1 ounces. So the way it comes out is like each canister ends up being like about $1, I think $1 something per ounce, which is like insane. Most color tubes are closer to $2 to $3. So when you're using this, you're saving money and you're using less color. So I think that's super cool. And that was another huge reason why I wanted to come on board, because who doesn't want to save money? Now, keep going. All I'm doing is taking my vertical sections, or if you wanted to do horizontal, totally cool. You're just going to go through and apply. And I'm just taking the hair with my thumb and pointer finger. I'm separating the hair to make sure that it was fully saturated, and I'm just squeezing and running this down, and then we're gonna place it back, and we're just gonna let it process and do its thing. But guys can kind of see the shift in it right now. It's gonna have that darker root into that lighter end. It's gonna be super pretty. Now, let's start working the other side. And then we'll kind of just move her back and forth and keep hitting everything. But this way, we want this toner to process evenly as well. So if you've noticed, like right here, I took too much hair, push that back out of the way. I would still try and work in about 1/4 to 1/2 inch sections when doing this, just so it's less work and you can make sure everything's nice and clean. And we're gonna keep working this down, and then that's it. And then right here, if you guys, let me turn her. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll take the root color and I'll kind of pull this down just a little bit. And then what is cool that happens is when you apply those on top of each other, it kind of gives it semi 3 tones. So we'll have like the level 6 root, more of like an 7.5 end, but like where your color was touching on these 2 points is going to create a cool little in-between tone for us. So don't be afraid to overlay color on color. If you have any more fun questions, ask me anything you guys want to know. Like it's something brand new to the industry. So there's a lot of cool stuff that if you guys want to know about it, just please ask away. Because right now, all we're doing is we're just continuing this toning technique, and we're just going to keep working through this.
Everyone is just really excited to like see the final look, and they think it's really cool. So we are not getting a lot of questions. You are getting a lot of comments though about how cool this looks.
I'll take good comments as well. If you can keep hitting hearts and stuff like that, I'll take it as well.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
What happens if maybe your salon is experiencing some Wi-Fi or technical issues? Are you still able to use the ColorMaster Factory?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Wi-Fi issues, because you do have to log on to your Wi-Fi at your salon or your salon suite. If you have Wi-Fi issues, typically like when you're at a work environment and that does happen, it's fairly quick for somebody to fix that. But if it does happen, which I haven't had happen to me yet, there's actually a way that you can go through and use it without Wi-Fi, and that works for I think about 4 hours. We actually did that at the New York Hair Show. The Wi-Fi in the building wasn't working very well, and so we were able to get through the entire show just by doing it without Wi-Fi. So there is an option for that. Now, if you're encountering any technical issues, they actually have support system 24/7, and they're able to go through and fix anything through a laptop, no matter what state, what city, what country. 24/7 are able to do that, and I think that's absolutely incredible. And if anything mechanical happens, which I have not heard of that happening to anybody, they will have somebody out there to fix it right away on the next day. So they're very on top of anything like that, which I love. But I haven't had any technical issues. It's so easy to set up. You know, whenever I first got mine, they'll do a phone call with you, and they'll help you set it up. So you're not just going in there blind. If you're not very tech savvy, they'll walk you through a process. But when I got mine, I don't even think I read the manual. I just turned it on. I plugged it in the back. There's a little switch, like a little power switch. I turned it on, and I just started kind of just reading the different things, and I just set it up myself, and that was it. It's really simple. But they help you with all that. So if you're not tech savvy, they will help you set it up. They're not going to just give this to you and you're going through blind having to deal with it. I think one of the cool things too is like saving space. My salon suite, it is very, very small. I don't have a lot of room. And now what I'm able to do is I can take out my color bar, and I just like how they don't have it, but I like using a tool shed, just like a regular tool shed, and you can go through and you can place your canisters in there. And then if you want to, if you have like your preferred color, you can just keep a couple little extra color tubes in there. You never know. It's always good to have that, but you can get rid of your color bars, which is cool. And your clients love it. I think that's like one of the greatest things that I have. One of the greatest things about that is that my clients are always filming it. So it's good for social media. You can literally create super easy viral content using the Color Factory. And I think that's a lot of fun. But my clients, yeah, they film it, and a lot of people thought it was like a drink cooler, but they didn't know that there was color in it. All the other stylists in my suite constantly, like, they come and they watch while it's working. Like, it's really cool. But yeah, it's very, very simple to use. Anybody can use it. And now right here, I'm just kind of into the fringe area. I can't see what you guys are writing, but I hope that it's still a bunch of hearts. And then when you guys tune in a little bit later, just keep in mind too, we're gonna make videos that you guys can see of how this works. And then also, if you aren't following the Farouk Systems page, they post up a lot of the videos and how to use it. So follow Farouk Systems. You can follow me on West Does Hair. I post a lot of videos as well, or any of the other Farouk or Chi artists. They all use and make content with it. It's a lot of fun. Here we go. All right. Continue to do the application, and then we're just going to work your way back. All right, let's get this last piece around the ear, and then I'm going to go through and just get that color off of her ear for her. There we go. And then I'm going to just finish off on the other side. We want to make sure that it's just nice and neat. All right, and then let's turn it, and we're going to finish out, and then that's going to be it. You know, like with the live right here, I would like to, we can show some more stuff on the Color Factory if anybody wants to see it when we're done doing color. So if you have any questions or specifics you want to see, actually, do we have any bond and seal? I sprayed, like, we already sprayed once on the ends, but I feel like her ends are drying out a little bit just because I'm talking a little bit. I'm actually tricking you guys so Mackenzie could get on camera. Can you all see her? All right, look, it's Mackenzie. Everybody say hi to Mackenzie. Leave her some hearts or give her a little hand claps. Thank you, Mackenzie. That's how I got her on. Her ends are kind of drying out a little bit, so I just want to use the bond and seal and re-dampen the hair. I'm going to go through. We're going to apply, and I'm just going to take my hand and just kind of pull it back through, and this will help get that saturation to pull through a little easier. So if I wasn't talking and explaining everything, then I wouldn't have to go through and do this, but you're gonna go through and you're gonna do that, and then you can comb it, brush it, whatever. It smells amazing too. That smells good. But that's it. The bond and seal will help even out porosity, and it also repairs the hair. It's a great, great product. It's one of their newer ones, and it's absolutely incredible. But now you can see right here, the ends are back damp, and then we're gonna go back and apply. And that's way better too than having to go back and use like a water bottle or taking them back to your station and applying. Because when you're using the bond and seal on the hair, you're gonna notice, like, you and your client are gonna notice immediate difference. So you can use that totally as like an add-on service as well and make extra money in the salon, which I think we can all agree on that we want to do. Vertical sections or horizontal, whatever you want. And we're going to go through and we're just going to apply nice and easy. And then when I'm completely done, I'm just going to go through and just check the hair, kind of cross-check my color, make sure that I got everything on. So the way you can cross-check your color if you're doing a toner is just to use your hands and separate the hair to make sure that you've got this hair fully saturated and ensure that everything looks nice and pretty. I know this one's gonna look awesome. I'm really excited about this. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna have just a little bit of hair left right here on the top, and then I'm gonna apply the last couple sections on the side, and then that's gonna really be it. So make sure that you guys are asking questions. If you guys want me to personally show y'all on the Color Factory while the live is going, I can show you guys anything you want to see. So if y'all have any, just let them know. All right, keep working back. And then these are our last couple sections. I'm gonna clean up real quick. Now, if you're wondering about like how to learn more about the Color Factory and you just want more information on them, you can message Chi or Farouk Systems on Instagram, and they can give you more information on it. there's everybody that works there is super nice and super friendly. They'll help you guys out. So if you want to learn more about the Color Factory, make sure that you DM them, or we could go through and put anything for you. Also, if you guys do have any issues with anything, they can go through and put the link for you for the Color Factory Chi links. If you guys need to write that down, y'all can. And then also, I'll make sure and have all of our formulas there for you guys. So if anybody wants to recreate this, you can. So I feel like now would be kind of a cool time, since we're finished, to just kind of just recap everything. You know, I wish I could take credit for the beginning process, but if you guys, you guys will see Summer and Jewel. Summer and Jewel went through and they helped us out. Can I bring them on? Yeah. So these are actually contest winners, and I wanted to introduce them because they're absolutely incredible. And I'll just want to say your Instagrams to everybody. Bring them in. Here you go. So. All right, here. I'm just gonna just talk into my chest.
My Instagram handle is mainly.summer.
Mainly.summer.
Mine is Jewel Does Hair.
Jewel Does Hair. So they actually got our model prep today, and they're absolutely incredible artists. So make sure you follow them as well. But they pre-lightened her hair for me, and then what we've done there is, after that, they went through, they did the roots, and then they went through and used Bond and Seal on the ends. We decolorized the ends. So what we've done after the decolorization is we kept her hair damp. We resprayed Bond and Seal. We applied the root color together. You guys saw me do the root color. As it got damp, we re-added some more Bond and Seal. Just remember, it's not just a repair. It equalizes porosity as well. And then you go through and tone. It's going to sit for 20 to 25 minutes, and then that's it. So before we wrap up, if you guys have any questions for me, I would love to hear some more questions. If you guys want me to show you anything else on the Color Factory, I would love to show y'all more of how that works. This is our beautiful model now.
How long does she process?
I'm going to let her process for 25 minutes. Yeah, rinse and style. Now, you don't have to let everything process for 25 minutes. Let's say that you're doing just a highlight model. When you are going through and doing that, you can do like a 5 to 6 minutes. It doesn't have to always be 15 to 25 minutes. So this is very versatile in its looks, but since we're creating a completely different tone and we're not just shifting a blonde toner, I'm letting this fully process. But if you have blondes in, keep in mind that you can let it go for about 4 or 5 minutes, or you can eyeball it, whatever you want. So I think it's fun that way. All right, I'm going to say bye. No, thank you guys for hanging out with us today. I always appreciate everybody's time that takes time out of their day to hang out. If you have any questions, ask them or ask me, anybody. We're here to help you guys. We're hair family, and I love y'all, and I appreciate you guys so much. These two beautiful people, I love them as well. Thank y'all for y'all's help, and thank you guys.